because they don't want to share. That's gluttony. It says gluttony is a serious failure in self-discipline. It says it's a habit of eating too much or drinking too much. I know a lot of times we'll have people in my job, we'll have stuff laid out at Thanksgiving and Christmas, potlucks. And some of the people come in, they'll eat. Some of them have already eaten before they got there. And just because it's laying out, they're not even hungry. They will eat. And every time they come in, they will eat. And they will eat over and over and over. And then those are the ones that are sitting there with all the guts sticking out everywhere. Constantly eating, knowing they're not even hungry, but because it's there, they'll continue to eat it. And then afraid, oh, somebody bought a cake out. Well, if I turn around and leave and do my route, come back, that cake might not be there. So they'll cut a slice of cake and take it to go and then eat on the way. Just greed. That's greed. That's what gluttony is. And listen to this. I'm doing my research. I found out in the 13th century, fatness was associated with the sin of gluttony. They figured if you didn't have the right body type or if you was too big, I'm not saying have a little weight on you, but they said that back then, that's gluttony. You're way too big. You can eat way too much, getting your fill. Philippians 3, 18 and 19. For many walk, of whom I have told you, and often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Christ. It says, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly. Their belly is their God. These are the ones that are constantly eating all the time.
Yes.
So, oh yeah, I live to eat and I eat to live. That's the wrong type of thinking. Yes, like I said, gluttony is overeating. And I want to talk a little bit about addictions. In 1 Corinthians 6, 12 and 13, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. So basically what it was saying, because I did a bunch of research on it and looked at in my parallel Bible, it's saying I will not be addicted or be enslaved to anything. And then in that next verse, it was talking about meats for the belly and the belly for meats. So don't allow you to get addicted to food, drinks, things of this nature. Don't let that stuff enslave you to it. That's gluttony. That's addiction. Don't be enslaved to anything like that. It says, do not become a slave to your addictions or be mastered by your addictions. So I wound up, I think it was this morning, late last night, and it was like, I wasn't even going to add this, but it was like the Lord allowed me to stumble up on something. I said, well, let me go ahead and do this. But I know my next sermon that I want to give, or my next teaching, I want to talk a little bit about our health and what we eat, what we should cut out, what we shouldn't have, things like that. But since I was on addictions, I'm going to see if any of these hit anybody in here. You don't have to holler when I hit your work, when I hit your addiction. But these are the top 17 addictive foods that people are addicted to. There's a couple of them that are mine around here too, okay? So, anyways, the first one and the number one was pizza. Pizza is the number one addiction for people. Chocolate is another one. Potato chips, cookies, ice cream, French fries, cheeseburgers, soda, cake, cheese, bacon, fried chicken, rolls, meat, popcorn, gummy candy, steak, and muffins. Now, all those, I know some of these might be some of you all. Hopefully you're not addicted to it. Well, now listen to this. Since I gave you those addictions, I figure I might as well go ahead and give you some little content that was connected with it. It said the bottom line, the 18 most addictive foods were most often processed foods, which with higher amounts of fat and added sugar. They also contain high amounts of calories and cause major blood sugar imbalances. These are known factors that can cause food cravings. However, the biggest contributor to addictive like eating behavior is your brain. Don't that sound similar? What the Bible says? Clear your thoughts, clear your mind, pull down. You got to work on that mind. That's that battlefield. Line it up with the Bible. The brain is the reward center. it lightens up and starts secreting dopamine and other feel-good chemicals when you eat something that you like. This explains why most of us enjoy eating. The result, we don't want to stop, we overeat, and it's usually the wrong foods. There's a lot of times, and I know when I was unsaved, I was totally guilty of this, especially when I went to my grandmother's. My brother knows, my sister knows, we go down there, my grandmother and my mom can cook. When they get together, woo, we'd be down there for Thanksgiving or go down there for Christmas, or when we were growing up as a child, we were always at our grandparents' house. They were there, we were back and forth. We were a lot closer in distance. But they would make these foods. We'd have all kinds of meats, the turkeys. We would have the barbecue lamb. We would have chicken. Then they would make all the mashed potatoes. We had the greens, and we had the macaroni and cheese, and the cornbread. And then I didn't even get to the desserts, the peach cobblers, and the puddings, the banana puddings. And so what would happen is I would eat, and I knew I was full. And I'm looking at the dessert, and I was like, I ain't getting up till I get some dessert. And forced the dessert down. The whole time rinsing it down with whatever it was we had to drink. And then turn around and be back up 30 minutes later. It wasn't because I was hungry, it's my taste buds. Man, I gotta get some more of that prune cake or that banana pudding or that peach cobbler, because they made a little bit of everything. And you'd be up there eating and overeating. That's gluttony. I was in gluttony at the time and had no idea what I was into. And then turn around and sit down and thought I was going to watch the Thanksgiving football game. Sleep. Sleep. I done overate, and the football game is watching me. I done missed almost 2 games. Because of my greed, sitting back overfull. The body was trying to digest all that food. So here's another one. Another checklist for the Christian. And let me tell you something. I seen this, I'm going to say like 5th, 6th grade, all the way up through 8th grade. And it's one of these things that if you say you're a Christian, you will know right away whether you are or not, because we have these in our church. It's called foot washing. Men and women were lined up. Men mostly get from across from the husband, and then the rest of the people would line up, whether it was your brother, your sister, or whatever. Listen to this. Luke 13, chapter 13, verse 13 through 17. Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, well, for I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. Mm-hmm. Neither is he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are ye when you do them. Foot washing. You know what happened with some of the husbands and wives? It wasn't really the men, but a lot of the wives are doing a lot of grumbling. And I'm sitting here as a youngster looking at that, like, why they got a problem if they call themselves married and you say, I love you? Well, first of all, they're supposed to love each other. And then they say that Christians filled with the Holy Spirit, but the woman had an issue with washing her husband's feet. There's some deliverance that needs to go on there. You know what I'm saying? If you can't sit there and wash someone's feet, and you have a problem with that. You know, I think I had done my brother's feet, he washed my feet, and we didn't have a problem with it. We bickered and argued back and forth as kids anyway, but we knew we were in the house of the Lord. And one thing that kept me and him in control in church is called a belt. Get a rod and rod the foolishness out of a child. My mom and dad didn't play, so all they had to do was give you the look, and you knew I better straighten up.
You got that right.
But it's the foot washing part. If you feel like you can't wash somebody else's feet, you need to pray for some deliverance. It happens in the Pentecostal church and some of the other churches. They believe in this foot washing. And I remember doing it with Apostle. We had done a foot washing before.
Amen.
I think that you might need to schedule it out maybe 30 days ahead so some people can start getting their feet together. Start getting some pedicures and start getting out the Desinets and working on the athlete's feet and cleaning them up and getting the peppermint lotion for the feet. You know what I mean? So the next one I want to speak on the checklist, it's marriage. The rules for Christian households, being married. Colossians 3:18 and 19. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as it is fit in the Lord. And husbands, love your wives, and be not bitter against them. And there's a lady just last week. I know it's Sunday, but I believe it was like right around Tuesday. And she said that she said it. When I came in, she was having another conversation with another woman, a lady driver, in the lounge. And they were talking. She was talking about her husband, and sometimes he drives me crazy. He talks about this, talks about that, and do this, do that. And so the woman said, that's why I'm not married. She said, first of all, I can't be under a man and have him tell me what to do. I'm not going to put up with him talking to me and tell me I got to do this and do that. And she just refused to be submissive. And that's the issue with God, because God lets you know that he created woman for man. And if you be submissive, you're obeying his laws. You're obeying what he's commanded, to be submissive. And it takes a lot for a woman to be submissive to a man, especially if he's abusive, okay? I'm not saying the man be abusive. He has to be a good man, a God-fearing man, a saved man, and treat her right, though.
Amen.
And everything will line up. The house will line up perfectly well the way it's supposed to when you follow God's ordinances. He's loving her, treating her right, not being bitter against her, and she falls into her place doing the things she's supposed to do, honoring him as the head of the house and being submissive and doing those things. And it works. It works. I've seen it in my own home, in my own house, under my mom and my dad, and I know that it works. Ephesians 5:24 and 25. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So this is what I would recommend if a woman is having a hard time with being submissive or doesn't want to do it, to pray. And if the husband is pushing her and treating her the wrong way, fast and pray. Break that thing. Fast and pray. Get it broken, and God will break it. He's going to hear your prayers. He knows what's going on, and God will straighten it out. He's going to do it for the believer. So in 1 Peter 3 and 7, there's a reason that God said, do not be bitter against them. And why? In 1 Peter 3 and 7, don't be bitter so that your prayers will not be hindered. When you as a man, if the woman says she's not being submissive, not doing the things you want her to do, and being disobedient, hard-headed, or whatever, always rising up, bucking up against you, don't get bitter. This is the trap of the enemy, because she's not listening, doing what you want. Now you're angry and you're mad. God said this hinders your prayers. Because bitterness turns into anger, and all that starts to turn into a witchcraft, and you won't even know it. So you have to just pray. That's the best thing to do. Get on your knees, get in your prayer closet, and pray. And I always add fasting to that. God honors that when you're sacrificing. So don't be bitter against it.